All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today for the first meeting of the Joint Ad Hoc Committee of the Committee on Adjudication and the Committee on Administration and Management. My name is Eyal Luri Pardes, and I'm an attorney advisor here at APIS and the staff counsel for this project. Without further ado, I'll pass it on to Jeremy Greyboys, APIS Research Director.
Thanks, Eyal. I'll be brief. Welcome all to this committee meeting. Excited for today's discussion. Obviously, thank you to Leah Robbins, who, in addition to serving as in-house researcher, has done a lot of great work on this topic and originated this project. Thanks also to Eyal for staffing the committee, and to Nadine and Erica for co-chairing.
Great. Thanks, Jeremy. As always, I will call two roles. The first role will be the names of committee members and alternates of committee members. After each name is called, the person should say here, so we can make sure that their mics are working. Okay, so we have David Freeman Engstrom. Is David here? Okay, we have Susan Grundman.
Here.
Thank you, Susan. Adam Kress.
Here.
Thank you. Jeffrey Lobbers. I think he's joining us a bit later, actually. Aiden Mancini.
Here.
David Quinn.
Here.
Thank you, David. Roxanne Rothschild. Okay, I think she might be joining us a bit later as well. Lou Virelli. All right. Russell Wheeler.
Here.
Thank you, Russell. Matt Winner.
I am here, thanks.
Thank you, Matt. Bernie Bell.
Oh, here I may have unmuted.
Thank you so much. Bridget Dooling. Okay. Tobias Dorsey. Jillian Metzger.
Here.
Thank you. Aaron Nielsen. And Joseph O'Connell.
Here.
Nina Olson.
Here.
Thank you, Nina. And Eloise Pasikoff.
Here.
Thank you. I think I see maybe some folks, but is there any committee member present whose name I did not call?
You didn't mention me.
Oh, sorry, Erica Litton, the co-chair, chair of the Committee on Administration and Management. Thank you.
Yes, I'm also here, Charles Yorty. I didn't RSVP, sorry.
All good. We're glad to have you.
Chris Walker's here too.
Chris Walker, great. And just to make sure, I'll have another chance if any committee member present here I did not call their name. Okay. And the second role will be names of ACUS members who are not on the committees and their alternates. I don't have any that RSVP'd, but is there any ACUS member who is not part of the committee and that is present that a name I did not call?
I'm here, Laura Barheit from Office of Personnel Management.
Thank you. Okay. Please reach out via the chat function or email if you have experienced any technical difficulties during the meeting. ACUS staff will be happy to assist you with troubleshooting or moving to alternative means for participating. And with that, I'll pass it on to Nadine.
Thank you. So I want to thank everyone for joining us today to consider this recommendation regarding the effectuation of awards of monetary benefits. This, as you have come to realize, if you didn't know before, this is a joint meeting of the Committee of Adjudication and the Committee on Administration and Management, as the issues surrounding effectuation sit at the intersection of responsibilities shared by both of our committees. So to ensure a smooth and efficient process, Professor Erica I'm looking, Lightson, I'm not saying it right, Litzen. Okay. Chair of the Committee on Administration and Management. And I will each chair one of what we anticipate to be 2 meetings on this project. So I'm leading today's discussion. You're stuck with me today, and Erica will guide us at the next meeting in 2 weeks. I'm really excited about this. This is a great project. First, before we can dive in, we've got to go over the ground rules that we all know, but we're going to cover them anyways. Please note that only ACUS members, including government members and their designated alternates, public members, senior fellows, liaison representatives, and special counsels, whether or not on the committee, and their designated alternates have full speaking privileges. To avoid background noise, please keep your microphone on mute and either use the hand raise function or add a comment in the chat feature if you would like to speak. I will call on you. You can unmute yourself and then remute yourself when you're done. I would also ask that ACUS members and their designated alternates use the webcam to facilitate our conversation. With respect to attendees other than ACUS members and alternates, participation requires the unanimous consent of the committee members. Time permitting, I'll consider calling on such attendees as appropriate, and will presume that committee members consent absent raising an objection. If any such participant would like to speak, again, please so indicate in the chat feature or by using the hand raise feature, and wait to speak until I call on you. You can unmute yourself and then remute yourself when you're done speaking. For all participants, please use the chat function only to indicate that you would like to speak. Please do not hold any sidebar discussions or put substantive comments in the chat feature, as that is not captured for our discussion today. Only members of the Committee on Administration and Management have the 2 committees. On the Committee on Administration Management and Adjudication Committee have a vote. Please do not vote unless you're a member of the committee. We have a list of committee members in case you are not sure of your status. Okay. I have the great pleasure of introducing Leah Robbins, who was the consultant for this project. Leah and I worked on a number of things over many years. I can just tell you we are in great hands today, and I look forward to hearing her speak to us about the report she's done, which I think is really brilliant.
Great. Thank you so much, Nadine. I appreciate it. So I just want to give a brief kind of high-level overview of my research and report that formed the basis of this recommendation, and then I'm happy to answer any questions. So basically, in the administration of federal benefits programs, effectuation is the operational process through which eligibility determinations are essentially converted into monetary payments. So typically, once a decision establishing program eligibility and awarding benefits is made, there are several steps that the agency must take to effectuate the award and determine what, when, and how funds are actually paid and received. So I think there tends to be a misconception that the process ends once the claimant receives a decision awarding benefits, which, despite its significance, makes effectuation an often overlooked aspect of benefits administration. So ACUS launched this project to examine how a range of agencies effectuate payment following an award of benefits, and to make recommendations to agencies that administer programs of monetary benefits to promote accuracy, efficiency, timeliness, transparency, and fairness in the effectuation process. So for this report, I conducted in-depth studies of benefits programs administered by 5 federal agencies. Each of these agencies pay reoccurring monthly monetary payments, not just one-time or lump sum payments. And these programs are generally representative of the processes used by agencies more generally. So what did we learn? Obviously, agencies employ diverse processes for effectuating awards of monetary benefits, yet they have similar goals and face similar challenges in their administration of benefits programs. So various factors affect the performance of effectuation processes. Some of these are really inherent to the specific claim, such as the nature and complexity of the claim, if it was decided on appeal, if it is subject to offset or reduction for the receipt of other benefits, and whether information required to effectuate the claim is based on readily verifiable facts, which is usually the case, for example, in retirement claims, or if it requires additional verification steps, which is usually required in needs-based or means-tested benefits programs. So additional factors that impact the effectuation processes include agency approaches to accessing information from the claimant, other federal agencies, or third parties, the level of IT modernization and automation that the agency has implemented, their quality review and assurance protocols, their level of transparency and the communication with claimants during and I guess before the effectuation process, and how they track and manage their performance. So across agencies, some reoccurring issues emerged regarding reliance on self-reporting, manual workloads, and interagency coordination, as well as some possible solutions for mitigating the occurrence of improper payments and streamlining the effectuation process for both agency effectuators and for claimants, the people that they're serving. And I think that these are all reflected in the draft recommendation that is before you today. So I, again, am happy to answer any questions and looking forward to this discussion.
Thanks, Leah. So before we dive into the recommendation, the draft, are there any questions or comments about the report, questions for Leah before we get moving? Eloise, how are you?
Hi, everybody. It's great to be here. Leah, thanks so much for this really interesting report. I learned a lot. I have one question that I just want to make sure I'm understanding at a higher level of generality, the problems that the recommendations are set out to resolve. And I'm going to say 3, and I think this is right, but tell me if it's not right. And then maybe my ultimate recommendation is going to be that we put something in the preamble. But I think the 3 problems are improper payments, which affects both the individual and the agency, delay, which affects the claimant, and then sort of an unnecessary complex burden inside the agency. Is that an okay summary? As a like at a higher level of generality
like a very,
than like
yes,
all
a
the,
high level, I would say that that's the 3 most prominent issues, right?
Okay, great. So at some relevant point later, I'm going to suggest that we say some better version of those 3 high level of generality problems kind of up front at the top in the preamble so that the recommendations might sort of flow out of them. But anyway, thank you so much for this.
Of course.
Love signposting. That's great. Nina.
So the Treasury Department issued a notice, but not rulemaking or proposed rulemaking yet, that in conjunction with declaring certain things to be public benefits for purposes of public charge rules, it was determining that tax benefits such as the earned income credit, refundable credits run under the Internal Revenue Code and issued pursuant to the Internal Revenue Code were public benefits, and that it intended to issue regulations to that point, or at least it was like a notice that was a notice of proposed rulemaking. We have not seen that notice. I note that the earned income credit is the highest, the largest amount of improper payments under GAO reports. There are many Irish Chief Counsel opinions going back several years, at least a decade, saying the earned income credit is not a public benefit under most determinations. But I do think at some point in this document, we need to recognize this controversy, this looming controversy, and that there is an issue going forward. And I'll have a lot to say, maybe, as we go on from that perspective, like how would this fit into tax administration? whatever we're recommending.
Yeah, so, and this is just for like the scope of the report and the research more specifically, but I don't know that the earned income tax credit, while it is definitely one of the major sources of improper payments, would really be well, I don't know. I don't know that it would really be encompassed by this specific project as the like during the effectuation process for like reoccurring monetary benefits.
All
So-
I can say is that the Justice Department has now opined that the earned income credit is a public benefit.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm not disagreeing or agreeing.
Right,
I'm just
right,
saying,
right.
I think for the scope of this project, I don't know that
Okay.
the processes would be the same, but I will also mention that like while researching for this report, I think a lot of the improper payments, specifically overpayments, those type of issues definitely kept reoccurring. And so I think that that is definitely a possible area of study for a future ACUS project. Again, whereas this was really tailored, I think, to effectuation of reoccurring benefits.
Okay.
Thank you.
Perhaps we could have a footnote clarifying that it doesn't, this report is not looking at the earned income credit or the issue of whether they're
I
public
think,
benefit.
yeah, I think that that would be a good add for sure.
Okay, good.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. We can dive in. Do we want to pull up the draft? Like magic, there it is. Almost. Yes, great. Can everybody see the draft? Okay. So I'd like to start, well, I guess we start at the top with the title. Sometimes we can just dive right into the preamble, but we'll start with the title here. We had a comment from Russell. Russell, do you want to speak to the change that you're recommending?
Not really, not beyond what I said in the document that was distributed. Just seems
Okay.
to me, I assume that's a fairly important point, and if so, why not have it in the title rather buried in a textual footnote?
Leah, any response to that?
I think it's definitely accurate. I don't know if it makes the title long.
Yeah, no,
but, you know,
that's
it is accurate.
totally fine. Anybody else on this suggestion? Okay, great. Then we will keep it in. Let's move to the first paragraph of the preamble. We have some changes here. Are they not for those
Yeah,
Russells too?
Those
Yeah.
just adjust the elimination of the footnote, that's all.
Okay. Any comments on this first paragraph, either Russell's suggestions or anybody else have anything on this first paragraph? We'll move to the second paragraph then. We also have some suggestions here from Russell.
Point was just, if you can avoid the passive voice, it might be interesting to know who does it. I mean, it's not clear to me who does it, but, you know, that doesn't mean we can't adjust the paragraph if you agree.
This puts all three sentences in the active. Eloise.
Just, is it really the decision maker who sends that determination? That feels like it probably isn't. It's at some higher level, I would imagine.
Leah?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think like an ALJ is personally sending out a notice, so I think it might just be better to say the agency if you want to
Have an active
decision maker. Yeah, exactly.
Russell, does that work for you?
Sense to me, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Anybody else on this paragraph? Thanks, Eloise. Okay. Move on to the next paragraph. I think we want to say there the decision maker may need to transfer. Take out the. I don't think.
Do we have to signal again to some intermediate step? Like, again, I just don't think it's the decision maker who automatically sends it to the effectuator. So after any internal appeals are, or once the decision becomes final or something like that.
Anybody, any thoughts on that? I mean, internally, I know that that's how it works at my agency. It's
Wait, that the
staff, it's the decision maker.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Transfers it. Well, I mean, we transfer it not for processing of an award, but for further processing. It's actually the decision maker that's moving the ball there. But I don't know, Leah, if you have any thoughts on that.
So, I mean, you could say, again here, the agency to be more accurate in all instances. But I think really what we're saying is in certain, or maybe, no. Okay, so basically it's the kind of deciding component needs to send it to the effectuating component, right? But because, which is reflected in the next paragraph, that depends on the level of appeal and things like that. I'm not sure how to best say that with Russell's suggested
With active,
changes.
yeah.
Yeah. Because really it's the claim that needs to be transferred.
Anybody else on this?
Once the decision has become final. Oh, sorry, Bernie, I'll let you talk.
Go ahead, Bernie. Yep. Oh, we can't hear you. I'm sorry. Can you unmute?
I was just
There
going
we
to
go.
suggest something similar, such as once the determination is as well as the determination may need to be transferred, and with the rest of the sentence. So to change it from a particular person to the decision itself.
So it'd be the decision.
Yeah,
may
the
need to be
determination or
yeah.
decision.
Instead of claim, we had claim there before. Anybody else?
But then you can take out then the decision maker.
Right. Any other thoughts on this? Russell, did you have any comment?
No, I've said all I care to say
Great.
about it.
Okay. Okay. Preference over determination or decision? Bernie, you suggested it. Do you have a favorite?
I suppose I would mildly prefer determination.
Determination. Eloise.
Do we need to convey finality in some point? Leah, I'm still just struggling a little bit with that. So would it be, is it accurate or more accurate? I don't know. Once the eligibility determination is final, comma, the determination may need to be transferred. I'm just hung up on the finality component of the decision maker.
Yeah, I mean, I think, normally in the adjudication of benefits programs like this, the ones that were, at least the ones that I was looking at, I mean, there's I'm just trying to think of a scenario in which a claimant is found eligible at any level and then it's not final. You know what I mean? Like, obviously the claimant can appeal in a decision denying benefits, but the agency isn't going to, like, you know what I mean? So I don't, but I think
Okay,
it's fine
I mean,
to say.
yeah,
when
that's
it's
fine.
final. Yeah.
That's truly my question is
Mhm.
the, if the finality aspect is conveyed perfectly by the sentence, then I don't object.
Bernie,
Yeah, or we could just add final before determination. And that, would that
I think that's
address?
accurate. Yep,
Oh.
and maybe addresses Eloise's.
so it'd be the final determination may need to be transferred.
Right.
Jeremy,
Yeah, one concern, I don't know if it's final in the traditional sense that we use final. It's not necessarily final agency action. The way a lot of sort of frontline adjudication works, you have different people's decisions that are sort of passed through a process before the claim is done being processed. So, I mean, kind of what's going on here is you have one decision maker who says, are you eligible for retirement benefits? Are you disabled? Are you not disabled? And then gets passed to someone else that in some sense we might think of is an adjudicator saying, okay, now that you're disabled, I'm going to determine what the amount of your benefits are, how you're getting paid. So in some sense, it's not, I don't know, final might convey a level of finality that may actually not be appropriate in this context.
Yeah, I think what Jeremy, yeah, I think that's true too. But I think if you were going to say final, you would really be saying the final eligibility determination may need to be transferred from the decision maker to the component responsible for effectuating it, which I don't know if that's.
At least as I understand it, the effectuation process is, it can, aspects of it are somewhat ministerial, but aspects of it are also substantive adjudication, not adjudication maybe in the way that we traditionally think of it, but you are still taking disability, for example, might be one aspect of a claim. There are other things to determine as part of the claim. The effectuator's job is to take that initial determination of disability and then convert it into how do I process payment, which aspects are ministerial, other aspects are quite substantive.
you would recommend not using final there.
I think I would recommend against it. I mean, I think it conveys a level of final agency action that's
Mhm.
not appropriate here.
That's, yeah. Okay. Any further thoughts on the edits as they appear? Anything else in this paragraph? Okay, great. Let's move on to the next paragraph. There's a suggestion from Russell.
It's really
It's less words.
It's really a question. I just sort of wondered what other function would be served by the additional review other than build-in quality. There may well be one, and I'm just not aware of it. But when I thought can function as, I kind of wondered, well, what else would it be for?
Else. Any response, Leah, in terms of your report? No.
I mean, I think that is obviously the main function, if not the only function. So I'm fine with the change. I guess in my report, I just didn't want to speak for the agency's reasoning behind it, right? I mean, they could be doing it more for efficiency purposes or specialization. So I think it does function as a built-in quality review mechanism, but I think it also could serve other functions. So I think it's fine with me either way.
Just to say it functions as does not preclude it might do other things.
Any other thoughts on this paragraph? Thank you, Russell. We'll move on to the next paragraph. Uh-oh, we lost it. There it is. It straddles a page, so we'll start with lines 25 to 29. Oh, thank you. That's great. Thanks. 25 to 33 now. Okay, go on to the next paragraph. It's a short one. Russell, we have a comment here from you. Do you want to speak to that? Oh, we can't hear you. We can't hear you, sorry.
It's a question on my part of whether or not there's enough coordinating with agencies other than Treasury to mention them. It's not, I'm not advocating that, I'm just raising the point. I mean, that does clutter up the sentence, but you know, I don't have any strong feelings one way or the other. I'm just raising the point.
So what is the question, which agencies coordinate with Treasury, or if agencies are also coordinating with?
Well, let's say typically involves coordinating with the Department of the Treasury. Typically suggests that there are other agencies, maybe in different circumstances. I'm just raising the point of whether or not it's worth mentioning which the other agencies or some of them might be. I don't feel strongly about it one way or the other.
Are there examples, Leah, of other agencies that?
I think all the agencies that we're talking about in terms of federal benefit payments, they all coordinate with Treasury to issue payments on their behalf. Is that what you're asking, Russell?
Oh, I see what you mean. Typically involves coordinating with the Department of the Treasury, not typically involves coordinating among others with the Department of the Treasury.
Right. Yes.
Yeah,
So
yeah, you might say, yeah, typically requires coordinating with the Department of the Treasury. Or just leave it alone. I mean, if nobody else caught it, maybe it's not worth mentioning.
yeah, I think if anything, maybe you could remove typically, at least in this context. I mean, it's
Yeah, that would
be
resolve the ambiguity anyway.
So if we take out typically, any reaction to that from anyone? Okay, great. We can move on to the next paragraph. Eloise, are we?
So this is where this is where I started to get a little lost about the problems we were trying to solve for. So as I read this paragraph and the next paragraph, we were just talking about generic factors that affect the performance. That's the topic sentence here. And then the topic sentence in the next paragraph involves additional challenges, but they seemed not specific enough, plus just kind of like a laundry list of things, which then led to maybe a laundry list of solutions. So I was trying to figure out the through line, and you do have a paragraph in the report in the introduction where you sort of convey the actual problem that we're trying to solve. And so that's why I wanted to get clarification from you about whether those three things I mentioned before seemed right. So sorry I didn't have a chance to write this up and submit it ahead of time, but I was wondering whether something like the following sentence could work in what's now line 38, kind of as a lead into these next two paragraphs, something like effectuation processes have three main challenges, : delays in providing the payment, the inaccuracies in the payment, and unnecessarily complex hurdles inside the agency's processes. This is a terrible sentence, but it's at a level of generality. Like, if nobody else cares about this, I'll also completely let it go. But just as I was reading these two paragraphs that follow, it was just like, here's some stuff, here's some other stuff, here's some other stuff. And I was trying to find a structural home that also explained why we care, as opposed to just a laundry list of laws complicated. So again, this is not a good sentence, but.
Eloise, can you point to the paragraph in the report that you were referencing that?
Yes,
kind of
I
is
sure
giving
can.
you-
I'll find that. Yep, I'll
Okay,
find that.
that'd be
Maybe
great.
while Russell's talking.
Yes, absolutely. Russell.
Just wanted to endorse what Eloise said. That makes a lot of sense to me.
Great. Anybody else on coming up with language that's going to give us a roadmap for what's to come?
I have the paragraph.
Yeah, okay.
It's actually on page 2 of the report. It's the third paragraph of the report.
Okay.
So should I read it, or Al, do you want to pull it up, or maybe people can look at it in their email, however you want to handle it. Nadine, what should I do?
Yeah,
do?
is it long? I don't have it up, so
Okay.
if you could read it.
Well, I'll start reading, and then you tell me if you want me to stop. So
Okay.
it's
I mean,
page 2, it's the third paragraph of the introduction. So it says, benefit effectuation processes are notable in several respects. For agencies, processing and paying awarded benefits imposes a significant and often large workload that usually requires multiple steps to complete. And then there's a few examples of
that.
complexity. For both agencies and claimants, incorrect benefit amounts can result in improper payments that are time-consuming and resource-intensive to resolve. And then there's a few things about why that's a problem.
Yep.
And then thank you so much, Jeremy.
There we go. Thank you, Jeremy.
And then the last sentence is, and like delays in adjudicating claims, delays in paying awarded benefits can result in significant financial and other consequences for claimants.
That's great.
So some
You're
version of that, captures the things that we actually care about that everything else is designed to resolve, I think would be great to have here.
Okay.
Since it's so much, it may well be like a committee on style thing to
that's what I was thinking.
Match the report to the examples, but thanks for tolerating this request.
Of course. No, this is great. So this is the paragraph I think Ayala's reproduced into the preamble. Yes, I see him nodding. Thank you. If everybody's comfortable with using this paragraph as a springboard to capture some of the points that Eloise is trying to capture here, if everybody's on board with that, we can leave it to committee on style to really work its magic. If there's no objection to that, we will flag it. There we go. Anyone have any further comments? This is great. I love when we find stuff in the report that we can just really plug it in. Okay. The rest will probably have to be massaged, I guess, then after this to kind of account for this new text. But in the meantime,
report paragraph has other examples that this stuff probably fits into anyway.
In the meantime, is there anything further here, either on the proposed language or on what's existing, to the extent any of this survives committee on styles efforts? You can scroll through maybe to the next. Yeah, there we go. And I think the next paragraph, same thing with the challenges. It's going to be part of this reframing. Russell, you had a comment about when versus.
Well, it's probably clear, but we substitute the word instead of when, while.
Mhm.
I mean, after it's done, we would assume we wouldn't have those problems. So, but when is a little ambiguous. So if you say while, you know, during the process, but while is just as good, and that conveys that it's temporary, and just be aware while you're changing systems, this could happen.
Susan, on this?
I'm thinking I'm on line 51.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Okay, so this is the first time I've seen the term means tested programs. And maybe I'm the only one who kind of drew a blank. It's like, do we need to define it? Or maybe not. I'm not married to it. There's a question mark on my draft.
If you paused, other people might. Leah, do you have a thought on means tested programs? Is there something in the report?
Yeah, I mean, means tested is basically they're using income, assets, resources to determine eligibility and payment amounts for specific programs. This is like your SSI, veterans pension, things like that. I don't know if I was trying to look at the beginning to see if we use this term earlier, but maybe not. Yeah, so we do say benefits may be calculated using fixed rates, individual contributions, or means testing. But I guess we don't really define what that means. So I think we could easily do it if it would be helpful.
Susan, did you have anything specific in mind, like a definition or
Not
an
really.
EG?
It just sort of stood out, and it's like I don't understand. Now I want to dig a little deeper. Maybe space testing such as.
All right, let's try that. Okay. We could probably adapt what you just said, Leah, such as those, trying to think of how you word it, for which benefits are determined. I don't know. Starts to get wordy, but.
Yeah, and it kind of goes like defines itself in the sentence, but maybe not clear enough. Means tested programs pose additional challenges because payment amounts depend on claimant's income and resources and may fluctuate during the process, etc. But maybe there's a clearer way to kind of define what we're talking about up front, or the first time that we talk about means testing, in the very beginning.
Maybe say programs that that base eligibility on income or assets, and then say, you know, known as means tested programs pose additional challenges.
I think that's fine.
Yeah, because I mean earlier you defined effectuator, so those are.
Bernard.
So I would just suggest that maybe we put the definition of means testing in a footnote, because I think it is kind of a generally familiar concept, and to explain it in the text, I think just makes it longer and more complex than is really needed.
Erica, do you have a solution for us?
I do, because Leah pointed out that the second half of the sentence provides the definition effectively. I think what you could say, you could just move the words around. Means tested programs, comma, in which payments amount depend on claimant's income and resources. In other words, just move that. In which, and then move payment amounts depend on all the way through resources. Pose additional challenges because the payment amounts may fluctuate. I think that'll do it.
A lot of thumbs up there from Susan. She's very happy. Thank you, Erica, as we all are. I think that's great. Anything further on that paragraph? And did anybody have any reaction to Russell's while? Won't let that. I don't think anybody did. You would have spoken up, but just making sure. Great. Okay. Anything further on the means tested program paragraph? The next paragraph. There's an edit here from Russell, fewer words.
Correct.
Thing on this paragraph. Right? Let's move on to the next one, if that's. Last paragraph in the preamble. Okay, great. Before we leave the preamble, I want to just touch it base in with Nina and her comment she made at the start and whether there's a spot that you think a footnote about your concern might work, and we could put a little place marker for that.
I wasn't
Okay.
focusing on this as we went along, but I can certainly go back.
Think about it.
if you
Absolutely.
prefer.
Think
Yeah.
about it. I just didn't want you to think we forgot about your
Well, I
concern.
think it might really go to where you're saying recurring, and that sort of excludes, regardless of whether somebody defines the EITC as a benefit, it's not a recurring payment. It's
Got
a
it.
one-time. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
Nadine, I was just gonna say, consistent with the new title of the recommendation, I think we need to move recurring to after awards of.
Awards. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And then we can drop the footnote there, or or I guess maybe
we could think about it. We could think about that if that's necessary still. Okay. We can start on the recommendation then. Yes. Thank you for the good work on the preamble. Recommendation 1. I'll wait till I all's down here. I love when we can accept changes. This is great. It's progress. Okay. Recommendation 1, we have several subparts here. There's an edit suggested by Russell. Just for
I
clarity.
thought it makes it a little clearer if we say view twice, because get kind of tangled up in the sentence otherwise.
Yep. Anything here on recommendation 1 and A through E? Eloise first, and then we'll go to Nina.
Oh, so this is like an overall conceptual question, Leah, that again goes back to my what problems are we trying to solve problem. So are all of these, all of the recommendations responsive to each of the 3 problems, or are some of them, like what problem is streamlining access to information trying to fix is, I guess, the question. And what problem then is this more specific thing trying to fix, the making it easier to submit documentation? Is it part of the streamlining? Is it reducing burden on the agency? Just trying to understand overall how the things, I'm just trying to make it kind of get tied together more tightly, the problem with the solution, rather than kind of the laundry list of problems and a laundry list of solutions, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I think it all goes, and that's where I think it gets a little hard to kind of generalized because I think streamlining access to information by allowing these self-help portals, I mean, that will allow claimants, it kind of solves a lot of different problems, I think, in one, but I think specific here, being able to submit information and documents relevant to the effectuation process, obviously that reduces burden on effectuators, reduces burden on claimants, and then also the idea is to make proper payments, right? Reduce the occurrence of improper payments because you have streamlined that access to the necessary information that could result in a different payment rate or a reduction or something like that. So I think it's hard to say it's only going to, this will only solve maybe one problem. I think it's kind of just generally a best practice. So I don't know if that answers your question.
It does. I mean, and maybe once we have the Committee on Style has tightened up the problems, then these will all kind of more automatically flow from them. So thanks for the clarification.
I'm gonna, Nina or Bernard, anything on this, or do you have a separate point? Nina, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I had a separate.
Okay, then I'm gonna go to Bernard and see if it's on this point.
Okay, I had something with regard to this, which would be an explanation of why this is important. And it seems to me what ties all of this together in paragraph 1, or most of it, is a concern about transparency. And I think that's just a good thing to have in a program, separate and apart from what it does in terms of improving, addressing improper payments, delay, or complex burden on the agency. I think that transparency in itself is a benefit. And I guess the only thing that is not directly related to transparency, and that's really deals with kind of due process and kind of entitlement to participate. So, Eloise, I agree with your laying out of, what the problems are we're trying to solve, but I don't think this necessarily needs to go to that because there's an independent value to transparency and ability to participate in programs.
Thanks, that's helpful.
Wondering too if some of these concepts are echoed in 2023-4. And I know Jeremy, I see Leah nodding. I don't know if Jeremy has any thoughts, but you can think about that, whether some of that is captured in that prior recommendation, the good things that come from doing these best practices. Nina.
So what I was going to say was, I haven't looked at 2023-4 in a while, but it strikes me in 1B that we're saying, people can access information about processing times when agencies can reliably predict them. I'm wondering, do we have a recommendation saying agencies should try to predict processing times and make that information available? Because that seems to go to, one, it will reduce phone calls into the agencies if people know how long it is. It also gives them notice so that if the agency exceeds it, then what's their recourse? So I think I'd like to see something stronger in this, but I don't know. I don't know whether 2023-4 has an actual recommendation about transparency of processing times. And then the second thing I'd say is, I think follow up with Russell's point, I think we should change the title of this section from streamlining access to information to, increasing transparency, and access to information. And then you can describe how streamlining helps, but it's really about getting information out there.
Improving access to information?
Sure, yeah, exactly.
Let's try
Or
that.
even improving access. Yeah. I don't, improving access and streamlining access. I mean, I'm fine with the word streamlining if we also have increasing or improving.
Any thoughts on language here? Streamlining processes to improve access. Gets to be a wordy heading, but think that's what we're trying to say. Bernard, help us out.
So how about facilitating transparency and participation in the effectuation process? Because these recommendations do both facilitate transparency and, to some extent, participation.
Mm-hmm.
Jeremy.
I'm not sure it's purely I mean, one obviously has a transparency value. 2 is about providing information to the agency. 3 is about the agency getting information from other agencies. So I don't know that's transparency in the way that we usually think about it.
Yeah, sorry, I was really focused on paragraph 1, and this
we
is
were focusing on 1. You're right.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible that there might be a better way to organize these things, and if there should be a transparency focus section, I think that's a good discussion. My concern would just be cabining current 1, 2, and 3 under transparency.
So by having a separate transparency discussion, that's where we could get to. We encourage agencies to post, effectuation processing times.
And there is some of that in paragraph 11, so there might be a way to tie those concepts together.
Okay.
Leah, was that where you were going to point us? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So are we good with keeping the title for now as is? Nina?
I just should consider supplementing only. Now I'm looking at 2 and 3.
2. Okay.
Streamlining really is the right word for all of this. I think that kind of...
It's just those 3. Sorry, I just wanted to be sure there wasn't another one under this heading. It's those 3.
How about just improving access to information? Anytime you say streamlining by sharing information between government agencies, I just have a nervous reaction. People are going to come to the IRS and ask for information.
Try improving. Let's give that a whirl.
I was going to say, I think improving is fine, and I think that would capture all of the recommendations in the section.
Bernard.
Yeah, so if we've reached a conclusion that's acceptable to everyone, that's fine. Otherwise, I might suggest separating out 3 from 1 and 2, and then 1 and 2 really could be viewed as transparency and access issues, and then 3 would be a separate paragraph that would have its own heading. So that's another way to try to deal with it, because I agree. Trying to put 1, 2, and 3 under a single umbrella with a title is a little bit difficult to do.
So if we break off 3, would you want to say something about transparency in the heading? Is that what you're...
So then I think you could say facilitating transparency and participation in the effectuation process. And I think 1 and 2 both go to that.
Do we?
3 does not go to that.
3 does not.
Right. And that's
I think 2 is going more towards like burden reduction, accessibility, right? Having additional options for claimants and the representatives to submit documents and information that's necessary for effectuation, in addition to the online self-help portals. So if you're so I don't think that would be transparency.
Well, yeah, but that would be enhancing participation, right? So it is a way to allow individuals more efficiently and effectively to provide information that they think is important to the agency and that the agency thinks is important. At least that's how I would conceptualize it. But, if what you've got, people are generally satisfied with, I guess we could stick with that.
Anybody have any reaction to? I think your initial thought was to break off 3, right, Bernard, to take 3 out of this list, but
Yeah, my initial thought was to do that in order to be able to provide
build
a
on
more
transparency.
precise title for 1 and 2. So that was the primary reason for doing that. And I noticed that going forward, well, I guess there's no heading that only has 1 paragraph. Some of them have 2. So.
Eloise, on this?
Yeah, on this. So as
Great.
I'm now understanding Leah's response on paragraph 2 is about enhancing the agency's access to information as well as the individual's access to information. So I think to me, that counsels towards keeping paragraphs 1 through 3 together, but reframing the subject or the title of this section as we have it now, improving access to information. Because I agree, it's not just streamlining, it really is improving, but it's improving from both ends. It's improving access to information for the people, and it's improving access to information for the agencies. So I think at that level of generality, it does make sense to have them flow together in this way. So I think I would recommend, with that title change, keeping everything together.
Anybody else want to be heard on this?
I was just going to say that was very well said, and I agree.
Anybody else? Okay, we'll leave it as it is. We have a second meeting, so we can think further about this. Any other thoughts on the content of 1 through 3? Russell has a couple edits. We had view repeated. I think we talked about that one already. I didn't hear any objection to that. And then on 2,
Just a small point, Nadine, that
Yes.
I think I'd change it to say by authorizing additional. I mean, email is out there. They're not creating email. They're authorizing its use. Described in period by authorizing additional electronic options.
Got it. Thank you. Anything on 2 or 3?
Oh, sorry, I should put my
Yeah,
hand up.
Eloise, go ahead. Yeah.
So I wanted to go to Nina's question about the privacy and going to the IRS thing with respect to paragraph 3. I know we don't add ever consistent with law because that is like a repeated thing that is always the case. But Al, do you mind scrolling up a bit so we can see all of 3? But Nina, is there anything that you would recommend that we add to 3 to quell your heartburn? Because your heartburn made me have a little heartburn too.
Yeah, given what's going on now, I just think adding consistent, with law or statute is important here. I was just thinking that, and I know we don't like to, but I am just very concerned.
Yeah, and so maybe Jeremy, we could turn to you. I don't remember what's in recommendation 26.1, but are there guardrails, or do we want to add guardrail-y language that is not only consistent with law?
We modeled this language in 2026-1, but let me take a look at it again to see if there is language to that effect. I don't see anything in particular. It's paragraphs 7 and 8 in recommendation 2026, that one. I can copy it into the
Put it in the chat.
Yep.
Thank you. Bernard. Oh, you're muted. Yep. There we go.
Yeah, this is on a different point, so I don't know if
Oh,
you
okay.
want to
Okay.
resolve.
Yeah, let's hold. Erica, on this point?
Yeah,
Great.
I think I would say that paragraph 1 actually in 2026-1 is an umbrella observation because it refers to making records available to and then includes officials at other agencies, and it begins with unless prohibited by law.
Yes, it appears in paragraph 1, and it's also in the subject and benefits. It has several other qualifications that it needs to address. For example, a consent-based system. And so I think there is many protections that we put on benefits specifically, and interagency connection there.
Right. For this reason, I mean, this was the discussion that we had.
The fit for purpose language was addressing another concern I had for that project. So, but this is different. This is more just, you have to check the statute for, you can come in and ask, but we don't want to have this recommendation mean you should override the statute.
I think the unless prohibited by law language at the beginning of 2026-1 is helpful, but you know, we could add it here as well.
Eloise, did you have a thought on this language?
Well, I was just wondering whether, and again, I don't know exactly about the legal framework, but in line 92, at the end of that sentence, they should enter into an interagency agreement with the other agency for the secure, efficient, and continuous exchange of information as relevant for the particular benefits in question, or just something to that makes it feel a little more targeted.
Yeah.
But again, that would have to be consistent with law, and I'm not totally sure how all the legal regimes go. So.
What was the language you kind of were?
So at the end of that sentence,
Yep.
as for the secure, efficient, and continuous exchange of information as relevant for the specific benefits program in question, or something like that.
That still doesn't address my concern about, I think consistent with law, or as, you know,
or
unless prohibited by law, everything is really
Can we put a comment in?
Yeah.
That just to placeholder, and we could come up with language to add here, or I mean, yeah. Something, I don't know where that would fit or where that would work, but
maybe
committee on
after the title of the recommendation.
The recommendation, yeah. Yeah, I think we would have to move that, yeah.
Would it work to say they should enter into an interagency agreement with the other agency, comma, when permitted by law?
Yeah, that would do.
Oh.
Yep. Yep.
No, I think it would be after, it's line 91. Is that where you're looking, after interagency agreement?
Yeah.
Jeremy?
Yes.
Yep. As or when permitted by law.
I think when, to my ear.
Would we still want the targeted language from Eloise?
Yeah, I feel like this is going to get struck on the floor, just saying, because like nobody or there will be people who don't like when permitted by law because that's just the thing. So I personally would like some additional, even if it feels a little belts and suspendery, because I think that when permitted by law will get struck on the floor. I would like there to be some cabining language. I mean, that might get struck too, but get struck
At the
too,
end,
but
as you proposed.
yeah, as I had it before. Again, I'm not
There you
wedded
go.
to that. I'm not even sure that what I have written there is permitted by law, again, in a trans-substantive way. But I am trying to give voice here to what I take to be some of Nina's concern, that, or at least as my own concern as prompted by Nina's concern, that there may be circumstances in which there would be over-eager use of fulsome data that might not actually be relevant to the benefits program in question, and that I don't want improving benefits administration to be a lever to maybe get more. So that's kind of where I was going with that.
Does this help at least alleviate the heartburn? I like that analogy, Eloise, heartburn, a little bit of heartburn here.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I'll speak up if it gets struck
Okay.
on the floor.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bernard, you had a separate point.
Yeah, just a question. I know we have an MOU project going, and I haven't had a chance to read the report or the recommendations, but I'm assuming that nothing in here is inconsistent with what's being done in that report and recommendation. Just want to make sure we're kind of on the same page with two different products going on at the same time.
Hear me? See you shaking your head. Saying no.
I don't see anything inconsistent. I know the staff counsel for the project's on here as well and can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think everything here is consistent with that project.
I agree.
Thanks, Makaja.
Thank you, Bernard. Okay, anything else? We'll move to modernizing technology if there's nothing else on those three. I have 3 paragraphs here. A suggested edit from Russell in paragraph 6. And I think is self-explanatory, but Russell, if you want to speak to it.
Oh, it's just, I beat a dead horse about that. You just can't say if we're going to do it, it will ensure something happening.
Got it.
Same thing with the heading there, which is a little awkward, I realize, but again, I'm just leery of making predictions like that. 100% success.
Mm-hmm.
Worthy goals for sure.
Mm-hmm. Anything on 4, 5, or 6?
Can I ask for clarification about 4? I don't fully understand it. If the technological modernization requires reliance on both new and legacy systems during a transition period, isn't getting everything into a single electronic case management system the goal? So how could you do both at the same time? Maybe this is just a completely ignorant tech question, but I just don't understand how, if the goal is to get to one and you're struggling in a transition, how can we recommend that they do everything within one?
Leah.
Yeah, so I'll obviously take this. So I think this comes from, there's a section in my report talking about how, I mean, basically it can take agencies several years to transition from a legacy system to a new system. And so where this recommendation kind of stemmed from was almost investing in these kinds of transitional bridge systems so that while agencies are having to work in this kind of temporary transitional environment, they have one system that they can use. So pulling from 2 different systems in order to make it easier in the interim while
Did
before
you-
they roll out the
And
next.
did you hear from agency folks that that's possible? I feel uncertain based on interviews I've done with like CFO types about basically having enough budget for systems that this is feasible. Did you hear people who said that this kind of thing would be feasible?
I was going to say, I didn't talk to people at that level. So I think that people, the effectuators would like this, but I don't, which is who I was talking to, right? But I guess in terms of resources and capacity to do it, I mean, I can't say that.
Could we flag this for a feasibility question from some of our agency people in the committees?
Susan, do you have?
Just a thought. I
Wisdom?
mean, we had this conversation last time we had the last recommendation. I mean, this is in a perfect world, we would like all of this stuff, right? But in terms of actually having the resources to make this a reality, that's kind of utopian. But, and I can't remember who said this last time, but it is something that agencies can take to the appropriators and say, look, this was an ACUS recommendation and it is a best practice, and it might be just kind of a tool to use, a document to use.
Thank you. Anybody else? So, Eloise, you want to flag?
I kind of do, because my concern
comment here.
about having a recommendation, I totally take Susan's point, and I love placeholders that could be used in that way. But I also worry the flip side is that we make a recommendation that just literally is not feasible to implement. So I guess I would just like a feasibility check, whether it is that from we must have our agency members, public members, from government members there must be people who can reach out to their tech people to find out whether in this kind of transition, anything like this could be technologically feasible. I don't even mean financially feasible only. I just am really wondering if this is the goal. To me, it feels like we're saying when you're in the process of trying to get to a good tech place, do the good tech thing already. That's at least how I'm reading it. And I just don't know if that's feasible. So to me, that feels like something we should check before we recommend it.
So I don't know if this, maybe I don't know if this clarifies anything or makes it more confusing. But I think what I'm saying is, obviously when you have a legacy system and you're bringing in a new system, right, in that interim period, you have to pull information from both, right? So I think this recommendation is getting at, instead of having the effectuator manually pull information from both systems, kind of create an interim system that pulls information into a single interface from the back end systems. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And that's
Okay.
that's exactly what I'm suggesting we find out if it's feasible.
Because I don't know. I'm not IT, so.
Yeah. That's what I thought you were talking about. And I just think we should see if that's possible.
I will say just my own experience at my agency when we've transitioned for other kind of purposes, other systems. We have literally run both in parallel during the transition period. And I hear what Leah's saying, that could be incredibly inefficient, because now you've got people trying to access information in both systems until we can fully turn off the old switch and flip the new switch. And I don't know from a tech standpoint if it's possible to avoid that double check while you're transitioning. So that wasn't helpful at all, other than to say it is difficult when you're transitioning to a new system. Change is hard. So can we just put in a comment there that we're going to maybe dig a little deeper on that and see what we can find out for the next meeting? Does that work, Eloise? Yeah. Yep. Okay. Anything on 5 or 6? Thanks, Eloise. Anything? I did want to ask a question about 5, if nobody else has. I assume there we're saying we're implying AI here without saying AI. Leah? No? Okay. Just making sure.
I mean, I think it maybe down the line could encompass AI, but I think automation just doesn't have to. I don't think that they're one and the same, but.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Anything further? 5, 6. All right, we'll go to promoting quality, which is Russell's edit there. The next 2. We do it on time. Okay, we're good. Yeah, edit from Russell there in 7. Any comments on 7 or 8? Okay, let's move to 9, 10.
Sorry, Nadine, I just want to make sure the headline for 7 and 8 to change to promoting.
Didn't hear any objection. We did talk about it a little bit with Russell. Yeah, okay. Russell, did you have anything on that first change in 9 that you wanted to flag?
Well, yeah, I just, my thought was an average time frame. It sounds like there could be more than one average for numbers in the same category. And maybe I'm just misunderstanding what's the purpose of it, but there's one average. I mean, it's, it's a result of, how you get averages. This suggests there may be more than one, and I can't remember offhand what I suggested in the alternative. The anticipated time frame is what I thought instead.
The anticipated time frame for its completion.
Yeah.
Provide the anticipated, there we go.
Something like that, yeah, but maybe I'm, as in a lot of this stuff, maybe I'm just missing something.
Bernard?
The implication being that the anticipated time frame would reflect what the average has been.
No, I was just going to suggest, because there was no article before average in Russell's suggestion, I would have just said provide the average time frame. That suggests there's only one average, but the anticipated time frame works for me as well, but less specific.
Yeah.
V is a hot quitter. Just saying it your way is save some words. So I just don't want to say an average implies there's more than one.
Got it. Susan?
Yeah, just a thought about when you say something like an average processing time, that's going to be a source of litigation when you don't hit the average processing time. Okay, because I mean MSPB saw these types of annuity claims from OPM all the time, and sometimes it took longer, and sometimes it was fairly straightforward, but it was generally longer than expected. And whenever that became a source, that became a problem, because I think it's a good term to have there, but you are going to create litigation expectations as a result.
So I'm fine with the anticipated.
Okay,
well.
Great.
And then you could have a range. I mean, so you could say from,
yeah, it's
4
going
to
to take
6
2
months
years.
or whatever.
Or 1 month.
Well, a
Yeah.
reasonable range.
Nina.
Well, actually, I was just going to say, I think the anticipated time frame or an estimated time frame works there. Mhm.
Preference for anticipated over estimated?
Personally, if you're worried about, litigation, estimated
Right.
implies, you're relying on past data, but there's no guarantee. It's subject to external forces and all sorts of stuff.
Try estimated then. If anybody reacts to that. Okay. Estimated. And should it be the estimated or an estimated? Russell?
Well, I think it should be an estimated.
Yeah, okay.
There could be many estimates, just one
Mhm.
average.
Yep, got it. Okay. Anything further on 8? And we'll look at 9. Oh, no, 10, 9. I'm totally losing track of my numbers here. Thank you. 9. Anything further on 9? Then 10, Russell has a suggestion.
The word
Prominent
appropriate
is-
gets used an
yeah.
awful lot, and so I thought,
Yeah.
prominent is a little more specific than appropriate.
Okay, great. Okay, let's move to the last recommendation. I think that's the last of it. 11. Russell has a couple edits here to propose.
I think adopt is more precise than make.
Hmm?
And then in B, as I indicated in my note, I was just a little leery of publishing accuracy rates for initial payments and whether or not that just encourages people to say, well, if there's only 80% accuracy, that sort of an invitation to challenge it. And suggested that other language, which may not do the work, may not do the trick, but at least it's an alternative for discussion if you want to discuss it.
Leah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that where this came from is the Payment Integrity Information Act of 2019 requires agencies to essentially track and report improper payments and then they're all kind of reflected on paymentaccuracy.gov. And it does include the causes as well, the major sources, I guess, of improper payments. But what it doesn't do is provide the accuracy rates or improper payment rates, however you want to flip it, of initial payments from the effectuation process, right? So when you're looking at paymentaccuracy.gov, you can't really tell, you have no idea if these payments were like when the improper payments were made in this process, right? Was it when it was first paid out, or is it at some other time down the road when they're continuing to receive benefits because of a change or et cetera? So this is already kind of required by law. It's just we're saying also track the initial payment, not just the improper payments generally, if that makes sense.
I'm quite happy to withdraw the suggestion.
I think actually I don't mind the suggestion at all. I'm just saying it's like where your concern is coming from. I think regardless, I think the addition is fine. It's good.
Bernard. Oh, unmute. Yep. Thank you.
Sorry,
There we go.
given Leah's explanation, I like the initial language that she put in. So I personally would be inclined to favor that.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, then we'll go back to, I think I heard Russell say he was withdrawing, so. Think further on 11. Okay. I think that's everything. Taking our first pass. Anything further that we need to cover before? Did we agree on the title? I think we did. I think we did. Yeah. All right. We have some follow-up work to do, committee on style, right? Oh, Jeff. Welcome.
Oh, thanks. I'm sorry I'm late. I had to teach a class today. You've gone over the preamble already?
Yes, we have.
I just had a couple of very minor little points. Not even necessary. So I was wondering in the examples in footnotes 2 and 3 or 2 through 4, where things like the Black Lung Program or the Longshore and Harbor Workers Compensation Act programs. I know you don't want to be exhaustive on this, but did you consider putting some additional programs in those footnotes? Leah, I guess.
Leah.
So you're asking if we will consider putting additional examples?
Yeah, I
got
mean,
lots of examples. So.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, Black Lung's a pretty big program, but
yeah.
So I don't know. That's just a
yes.
Maybe put a few more in there. It's just a suggestion. Footnote 9, we talk about representative payees. ACUS did have a recommendation 91.3 on, it's called the Social Security Representative Payee Program. So I would suggest adding a citation to that recommendation. And
Isn't that in, that's not in 8? Are you saying footnote 8 or footnote 9? I'm sorry, Jeff.
Footnote 9. Oh, now it's on.
Now it's 8.
It is in 8.
So it's recommendation 91.3.
Isn't it an 8? No? It's in my mind. Oh, it was a Office of the Chairman project. Sorry, it looked like the same title.
Yeah, the Social Security Representative Payee Program is the title. And then just on footnote 13, I was wondering if you talked about garnishment as something that you're not addressing.
Footnote what, 19?
I guess it's 12.
12, got it.
It doesn't address post-effectuation issues such as, and I think garnishments is something that would be a post-effectuation issue, I guess.
So add it as an example.
Yeah, something, such as reporting requirements, garnishments, or overpayments arise, garnishment issues or something like that. But I thought the recommendation was really well drafted.
Thanks, Jeff. Dale, did we capture the first one that Jeff flagged in the Black Lung?
I wouldn't. It's just mainly for Leah's consideration whether she wants to put a few more examples in the footnotes.
Okay.
I've got plenty of examples. I think we actually took some out, so I'm more than happy to put them back.
The other one was the Longshore and Harbor Workers Compensation Act.
Got it.
Dock workers program.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Jeff. Anything further?
Jeff, question for you. When you say garnishment, are you thinking of garnishment as a means to recover an overpayment? Or are you thinking of, say, reserving funds during the effectuation process for something like child support?
Well, where the person owes a debt to the government in some other form, I think the government can, get the remedy of garnishment sometimes.
Leah, do you know, does that occur during the effectuation like the process that we're talking about now?
So it can occur during the effectuation process or after. I think how we kind of addressed it in the recommendation would be talking about like offset or reduction of the benefits. So I don't know if that answers your question, but I don't think we're talking about post-effectuation garnishment, right? Like you still have overpayments and garnishments that occur during the effectuation process, but I think it is accurate to say we're not addressing those that occur post-effectuation.
So I guess if garnishment is occurring during the effectuation process, I guess the question for you, Jeff, is does the recommendation adequately address it?
I don't know.
Nina, on this point, did you have a comment?
Well, actually, I had another comment, but I'm going to say, since the payments are being issued by the Bureau of Fiscal Service, there are all sorts of programs that Bureau of Fiscal Service offsets, payments from one agency because of a debt of another agency. And that would come up even with the initial payment, part of the effectuation process where you're going to BFS and saying, please make these payments. And it could occur anytime after the initial payment as well. So they're called offsets. They're not.
Right. So I think Nina's 100% right. The Treasury Offset Program in particular is what comes to mind, and how I kind of addressed it in the report and how I think it's kind of addressed in the recommendation is more of an offset than a garnishment. So I don't know if that clarifies or helps.
Maybe just adding offsets, garnishments, offsets, recording requirements, or overpayments. But I would probably put reporting requirements first, and then garnishments and offsets maybe after overpayments, just kind of in order.
Nina, did you want overpayments before?
I'm fine.
It's fine. Okay.
With that. Yeah.
There we go. Okay.
I did have another point.
Yes.
Kind of my first intervention here was about, tax benefits not being benefits and looking at the title and everything. I think now I'm withdrawing my wanting a footnote so that I don't draw any more attention to it than necessary, because I think recurring is actually addressing that. So thank you. Thank you for bearing with me.
Of course. We appreciate it.
I get nervous,
Yeah. Appreciate it. Okay. Anything further? Okay. I think we can wrap, give you some time back. And we will meet again in 2 weeks on the 20th, same time. Anything further we need to discuss? Yeah? No? Shaking your head? Okay.
We're good.
We're good. Okay, great. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Leah. Thank you, Jeremy. Very, very helpful input. Thank you. And we'll see you in 2 weeks. Take care.